live, I think. Yes, we are. We should be, at least. Okay. So, a little bit of extra stream here today. Yesterday, I was torn between doing the Unreal Open World stuff, which was a lot of fun. We all had a great time hanging out and messing about with that. You guys helped me out quite a bit. And then today, I'm just doing the other option that we, well, didn't do yesterday. That is going through this project and hopefully finishing off. I've done quite a bit of modeling today during work hours as well. But hopefully we can finish off this fantasy medieval low poly pack, because we only have a couple models to go, unless I come up with any other ideas. But we're at like over 30 models at this point, so we'll probably be fine. Meaning that we're going to make a ice and fire staff to go with like this normal magic one and this like nature themed one. We still need to do a scimitar. It should be relatively simple to do, I think. And then a battle axe and a warhammer. And from there, we're probably going to either move on to doing some sci-fi weapons, some Wild West weapons, something along those lines, or we can go do a couple of props. I probably want to make like some progress on the nature pack. That's probably the next thing that I'm going to be focusing on. For now though, let's get started on the last few fantasy weapons that we have. So top to bottom. Oh, we also need to do like the pointy dagger type thing. Sai, I don't know how to pronounce this. Let's just do top to bottom. So we're going to get started with the ice staff. I'm going to look up a reference image for inspiration. Ice staff. Let's see. Something with a easy shape. This one is not half bad. Like, of course, my version is going to be significantly slimmed down in its general shape, but like this is a little too simple, right? I have a idea as to what I want to do for the general shape, so let's just get started with that. We're gonna get started here with, that's a good question actually. Do I want to, I think I want to start with a cube instead of a cylinder for this one. The question is, do we want this to have a very cylindrical vibe to it, or do we want it to be a little bit more jagged all around? And I think I want it to be a little bit more jagged all around. So let's do that and start off with a cube. Now, roughly the appropriate length would be somewhat like this, and now we can actually start work on this guy, and this is gonna be interesting, because the idea here is that I'm going to like just add in some loop cuts like this, and we're going to, just as a proof of concept, what I'm going to do is I'm going to extrude this out and then move this, no, not proportional editing, at least not at the moment, like move this out a little bit, and then we can also, there is a way to slide beyond. Is it alt? It's alt. Now with the knife tool, maybe what we can do is connect all this up and do something a little bit like this. And if we make a lot, and I probably just merge these back together as well, merge by distance, like if we make a lot of these little protrusions, I think that's going to look pretty neat for like a magic eye staff. And then we can smooth out some of the edges by beveling them to make it look a little bit less like a cube. Hello everybody joining in. My day's been productive so far. I did a little work, did quite a bit of modeling here, like everything like this and this and this and these two and this knife, both of the shields, this morning star. I think that's everything. Oh, and these two magic staffs, of course. I made today in between some other work. Did some stuff in Unreal Engine, working on my game. Just generally had a pretty good day, you know. So let's try to do another one of those, and maybe not have as many of them at the bottom here, though. That's probably actually a good point. Probably don't want to have any of them at the bottom. What I probably want to do is move this one up just a tiny bit, enough for there to be... Well, you wouldn't hold a magic staff at the bottom, actually, no. But we do need to decide where we're going to put the handhold and keep that somewhat clear. So if we are in line with these two, it will be roughly in what is the middle here, probably a little under the middle. So let's say that this section here is going to be maintained as empty. I think that is probably a good idea. There might be a better way of doing this, to be honest with you. I'm trying to think if I can think of anything that makes this process easier. At the moment, I don't think I really have many good ideas. Not that this is particularly a troublesome workflow. Like, now that I've done it once, like, copying this over is actually remarkably quick and easy. I already have a second crystal on this. Now that said, zooming in on a single vertex maybe not the best idea. Probably want to move this over a little bit as well, but not too much. Can we please just Control Z it? Something about this doesn't look quite right, and I'm not sure what that is. I think it might just be the fact that it's down too low. Like, maybe I just need to raise it up a little bit. Can we... like, nah, rotating it isn't gonna do much good. Does this need to slide? Yeah, I think this needs to slide back a little. That's it. If I slide both of those back a little bit. Same with these ones. That gives the shape a little bit more. Yeah, that works a little bit better. So how's everybody doing here today? Now this is gonna get a little messy. I think. It's also gonna take a while. Wouldn't it be easier if I just made like a crystal that I can scatter? I don't think it's gonna matter that much, so I might as well. Probably would be faster. Would it look as good though? It might even look better if I just... Let's real quick make a crystal. We'll keep this one around for for reference, if nothing else. And also in case this ID doesn't end up working out so well, it'll be nice to be able to go back to the original ID. But what I want to do now is I want to just check out whether or not okay, actually no, I have an ID. I have an ID. So if I add a good number of cuts here, just something like that, and then add a few cuts like that, and a few cuts like this. That gives me a little bit of geometry to distort. Maybe I even want to... if I'm gonna do that, maybe I don't want to start off with a square shape. Let's just test this real quick. It doesn't matter what the shape on the top is, because there's gonna be like definitely ice crystals peeking out of that one. Actually, probably would be nice if we just, with proportional editing, make this bottom bit come down into a spike. Yeah, I think that'll work. So we will add a displacement model. God damn it, that's a lot. That might not be a bad start, to be honest. I mean, I know how this looks. I know this looks bad. But let's just lower the strength a little bit. And I might not even need to scatter that many actual crystals on this thing now. Because if I just like shade this smooth and then... can I say a vertex group? I don't want to distort the bottom bits too much. So we only do all of these. Make the vertex group for distortion. Distortion. I don't know what I just renamed, but it doesn't matter. Distortion. If we do that, it should only distort... I didn't assign any vertices to it. Assign. It will not only distort the... Yeah, okay. Let's do a little vertex painting on this. Where's my weight painting? I mean, of course, duh. We need this to be a slightly... Oh, no. We need this to be a slightly more subtle gradient here, because this is a little too jarring still. I mean, it's still not great. But honestly, what if we bevel it first? That does improve things quite a bit. So if we increase the bevel amount, that doesn't do shit. Don't necessarily think that we need to have more segments. Like a little bit of beveling here does make those edges feel a little bit sharper, which helps with the stylized look, I think. The geometry is just a fucking mess though, isn't it? Because there's things clipping through itself at places, I feel. Yeah. But that might be easily fixed actually if I switch the mid-level around. Yeah, there we go. So if I make the mid-level, I might even be able to get away with a little bit more distortion. I just realized that I planned this out real bad. I started the stream and now I already need a bathroom break after like 15 minutes. So I'm gonna be right back. Probably should have gone to the bathroom before. I kind of started this stream on a whim. Nothing here is planned out. So enjoy looking at this jaggedy piece of shit. Okay, so I think it's time we start trying to scatter some crystals on this thing. And in order to scatter crystals, my god, my chair is going to absolutely break apart one of these days. In order to scatter crystals on this thing, we very obviously will be needing to have some crystals to scatter to begin with. So let's do some of that. Also, maybe I'm just gonna keep this like it is at the moment. Maybe just make the entire thing a little bit thinner. Probably could do with a little bit of thinness. Do you think? I think that's pretty good. Now, make a simple crystal. That shouldn't be too difficult. What we're gonna do is we're gonna start off with a cylinder. And that cylinder is going to have how many sides? Do we want them to be like hexagonal or octagonal is the question. I feel like hexagonal makes the most sense. Yeah, that's what we're gonna do. It's very easy to just extrude this out a little and say, hey, scale you down to 0, and we've got the general shape of a crystal. Now, of course, there's quite a lot we still need to do to make this a little bit better, make it somewhat more in proportion. We need to merge by distance. And then we want to skew this thing as well. And aside from skewing this, we also want to make this thing, if at all possible, somewhat proportional to the right size from the get-go. Which would be... we're just going to model it as if it's on this. I think that makes most sense to do it this way. So we set it on there like this. Maybe make it a tiny bit smaller still. And then we just skew it forward. A little down, little forward, and once again a little bit more like that. You know, that could be a hell of a lot worse. It feels a little too distorted. Like there's something's going wrong here. It feels like, but we can probably, yeah, it's twisted around its own axis a bit too much. We need to. That's already feeling a lot better. Maybe. That's getting there. We can always change this particular one a little bit after we've done the scattering stuff. For now, this will do. Except for the fact that we need the origin to be right around there. So let's pull this down. Make sure to apply at least a scale, and then we'll add a geometry node setup. We'll add the nodes that I already have, and that's on the wrong thing. We need to add the geometry nodes on this one. And then I'll just reuse the one that I made before. Yeah, that's, I mean, this looks metal as hell, don't get me wrong. It's just not necessarily what I had in mind. Let's open the geonodes. First things first, the object that we're going to be instancing is not going to be that fucking thing. It's going to be, let's see, it's going to be this thing, which, again, looking neat, not exactly what I had in mind. For the selection, what we're going to do, I have these nodes in here which I actually end up not using. Let's instance these on the faces instead. And somebody is now following me. Thank you very much on Twitch. I forgot that I was even streaming on Twitch, to be honest with you. But welcome. Welcome, Own3D. That Own3D, I am an idiot. Own3D is the messaging thing. It's Whoday TV. So it's supposed to be Whodav TV. Who is now following? I am an idiot. Anyway, random value, random selection, random value bool. I think it's random value for a bool, and then we just put that into the selection and set the chance to something much lower. And you know, I don't know that I love this, to be honest with you. But we could have random value vector. Also make the scale random. A minimum of half size to max size. Is that? The only thing that I don't really know, I think I should do this with a float instead of a vector, just because that way they will always be proportional. That does improve things a little bit. Let's look at this in color as well. If we make this blue, I don't know if that's gonna help, but let's give it a shot. this probably is not going to color the crystals, I now realize. Not until I apply the modifier on it. Yeah, it doesn't. But it still does give me a little bit of a better perspective on this. And also, I probably want to... Going back into my geonodes, probably want to make a selection still to multiply the random value so that I can say, hey, these are the areas that I do or do not want. Oh, I'm an idiot. Random value bool is the thing that I need to multiply with. That makes more sense. So now what I can do is I can say, hey, these down here. Let's see, like all the way down to these ones at least. And then somewhere around here for like a handle. Maybe do one more set of faces. And we invert that selection actually. Do we? I think we do. Crystals. And then in our modifier stack here we can say, hey, our selection is gonna be only on the crystals. There we go. Okay, so now I can quite easily influence where crystals do or do not spawn in. So we can just assign that. No, we can remove those there. And that gives us a little bit of a handle. Roughly where the shape itself actually would lend itself to that pretty well too. And then we'll just put in... Going back into just normal modeling mode here. We'll just put in a copy of this thing, but like really big on the top. And with a copy, I mean 4 copies, because why not, right? 90 degrees, please. It's the wrong axis. That's what I'm looking for. Copy those over again. Rotate. 180. Almost. Almost got them in the place where I needed them. It's close enough. This will do, I think. I think this will do just fine. I'm going to just apply everything, because I don't care. We can join them together, and now we can unwrap this thing properly. Might as well delete this, because I've got a couple of instances over there anyway. UV editing, just select fucking everything, scale it back down, and give it the same color that we just did, which I think was this one maybe. Hold on, why are these things still white? Oh, they're a different material. Just assign everything to this material slot. And that material slot should remove itself. Okay, so we've got something that looks a little bit like a ice staff. I think it'll do. I think it will do just fine. Let's move it over and mark that as being completed. Because we did spend about like 30 minutes on that, which is quite a lot. But some of these last few objects are going to be the more difficult ones to make, because frankly, I just kept putting them off until at this point where I need them to be actually made. Next up, the fire staff. I don't really have any good plans for this one, if I'm being real with you. So let's make the fire staff. The only real thing that I have is that it probably should be a little bit more jagged. Not as jagged as this one, but more so than these two. And that it should end in a flame-like shape. Those are the only two real things that I have in mind. So what I'm thinking is probably get started with a cylinder, which has more vertices than this. But maybe not too many more, actually. Let's go for 10. That seems like a good number. That seems like a decent number. That's not going to do anything. Rotating it around that axis, because it's a cylinder. It's symmetrical anyway. Okay, let's scale this thing down and make it long. Rotating is not going to do much for me. I need to scale this thing. These staffs keep getting longer without me meaning to. We'll worry about the origin point in a moment. Hello there. Hello there, hello there indeed. So what I want for this fire staff is to be much like this one, have somewhat of a normal handle here that doesn't move around too much, but then like these points to make these a little bit more jagged. So I can take this one and say, hey, we're gonna move you a little in that direction, and this one move you a little, not hide you, that is a horrible idea, bit in that direction as well. And then this one we're going to move a little in that direction and make it a little bit more like jagged in that way. And we'll do the same with the up and down direction in a moment. And that might be a decent start, right? That I'm going to pretend like that's not bad, even though I'm not entirely sure how I feel about it, to be honest with you. Does it feel flamey? Does it feel like fiery? Because I don't think that it necessarily does. I'm going to be honest. Might still work though. Might still work. Once we make this thing red and orange, it'll probably start looking a little bit better. Let's add in some more loop cuts here. Shorter together, so they can be a little more aggressive in the zigzagginess. And I also think that if we take the y-axis for those, and then we take the other ones and we move those in the z-axis, that might also... I don't know, does this look like fire? This is starting to look a little bit more like a thunder themed staff, which is not necessarily a bad thing, it's just not entirely what I'm going for. Okay, let's... let's make a flame. I have a rough icon in mind. I am very bad at drawing though, but I have the idea of it being a little bit like shaped like this. Again, I am very bad at drawing. And then have like a little thing in the middle. That's the idea. Probably a little bit bigger than this though. So I guess we start with a cube. A very tiny cube. And a cube that's all the way the fuck over there, but we start with a cube. And we'll connect these things somehow, some way, eventually, I'm sure. Open up the YouTube chat again so I don't forget. Let's try to follow this as a rough guide. So if we just take this like that, we should be able to relatively easily follow along this shape, which we might need to like scale things in and out a little bit. But this kind of works. No. Rotate. Thank you. You know... No, never mind. I was going to say, you know, this doesn't really work, but we can make it work. We can make this work, and then we just make it come together in a point. And we do something fairly similar here. That actually works a little bit better than I thought it would, to be honest with you. That's not horrible. It's not great, but it's also not horrible. And that is a good start. Now, let's shrink this. Actually, better idea. Let's shrink this down into a point and shrink this down into a point first. And then we can merge by distance to make sure that everything is just cleaned up a little bit better. And then now we can... Yeah, there's no edge flow there anymore. That makes sense. That's entirely on me. But we can create some. We can create some. That's no biggie. You can just create a new cut there. Also, we don't need the annotations anymore here, so we can just erase those. It's a little iffy. Isn't there like a double click thing? Right click? No? I thought there was a way to just remove an entire annotation at once, rather than having to scrub it away. Maybe that's just for lines? It's probably just for lines, actually. Doesn't matter. It's fixed now. So, I was doing a thing. Edit mode. Trying to go into edit mode. Why won't you let me? Okay, cool. We're back in edit mode. We can connect all this up relatively easily. And that should now allow me to select, in theory, all the way around, right? Maybe not. Maybe I need to merge things first again. We'll see in a moment. I'm assuming it's creating double vertices there, which I need to get rid of anyway. Let's try to merge by distance. It did not. So this might simply just not select the entire loop through around. If I say individual origins, nah, that's not gonna work like that. That makes sense. Well, we can just scale these like that and scale these like that instead. And hopefully questions. Oh, I'm pressing caps instead of shift. That's why it's not toggling between modes. Let's auto mirror this. Let's auto mirror this in a way that doesn't cut off my shit. I don't love that. I don't. So maybe let's not auto mirror that. Let's just do things by hand. We can just do something similar here. We can just select all these faces. Just fixing this up is probably going to be much faster than me trying to do this with auto mirror and get everything set up that way. You see, that was much faster. Actually, maybe we want to flip this around. Does that look better? It might look a little bit better. I don't know. We'll see. Then I just simply want to add in a cylinder, which is going to spawn in all the way the fuck back over there, because of course it is. Add some more vertices to this one though. And we'll worry about the dimensions once we've actually got it in place here. I just want a little bit of like a hockey puck floating on the inside of this rune looking thing. And then I did not want that to be part of the same mesh yet. So let's separate by loose parts. Loose. Hello? Separates? We need to be in edit mode for that, never mind. Separate. Maybe not? Separate by loose parts. There we go. How much modeling experience do you have? A bit. Oh, I'm in edit mode. I never said that I was smart, in my defense. merge by distance. And then crease up these a little bit, which is an item, I believe. Crease, there we go. And that'll do just fine. And we can set origin to jump. It doesn't matter because we're going to join them all together anyway now. My god, the geometry on this is horrendous. But it works, so I don't care. Let's increase the size of this a little bit. Yeah, they do keep getting taller, don't they? let's take away a little bit of that just to make it a little more in line with the others. Because this is bad. Box selection, please. And might as well take this one with it as well. That'll do. Let's give this bitch a color, because it's still white. I mean, it's not going to stay like this, but not going to lie, I actually don't mind this color. This kind of works. It kind of works, right? We're not going to keep it, but it kind of works. Now, we need to also do a little bit of UVing here. That being, I want to separate the inner part of this as an island. So we mark that as a seam, and then maybe, I don't know how this will look. But if I'm gonna do that, like the outer part, I probably don't want this triangle to be part of that as well. Because the idea would be that we have like the outer bit being red, then the middle bit being yellow, and the inner bit being orange, or the other way round actually. Going from cool to warm is the idea, but they would be meeting here, which would be kind of weird, so I'm probably going to not do that. And the same thing here. So we leave off the very tips. I think that'll look better. If it ends up looking not better than I expected, we'll just fix things up. Let's unwrap. First things first, the staff itself. Let's zoom in. Is probably going to be like a very dark red. Is that too dark? Might be a little too dark. Let's do one shade lighter. Feel like that's better. Also, let's auto shade smooth. Then the... Okay, so how are we going to do this? Hold on. We go orange on the outside. We go red on the outside, orange in the middle, yellow on the inside. And then this little puck here is going to be like a very bright yellow. So we do red on the outside. Like very vibrant red. Then we do a orange color, which also can be pretty vibrant. Where did I put that island? There we go. Oh, it's really, really hard to spot on the orange color. And then we do yellow. Maybe a more orangey yellow. Oh, that actually... Oh, I like that. Yeah, no, that was a good call to have the orange wrap around like that instead of having everything meet at this point, I think. That looked like a pretty neat flamey color. I do think that I'm going to change the staff itself to a darker color though, so the flame up top here stands out a little bit more. But we'll look into that in a moment. We can... that's a little too dull. I don't know. What I do know though is that this is still too vibrant, so let's make this darker like this. That's a pretty good like flame staff, lava staff kind of thing. I don't dislike it. I might change it up a little bit like tomorrow when I look at this again. But for the most part, this is pretty cool. So let's make sure that it's properly named as well. So this is the flame staff. Oh, that's what I renamed before. I renamed the entire object. Fair enough. Put them both into the fantasy category, and we're up 2 more models now. And these were the 2 models that I was really most worried about. So we've got all 4 magic staffs now. That's really what I was not looking forward to doing, and that's finished now. So that's good shit. That's really good. Now we move on to the next. So we've got the scimitar, the sai thingy, whatever, the battle axe, and a warhammer. I guess we keep going from top to bottom, unless anybody has any specific preferences, but I'm just going to look up an image of a scimitar, and we'll probably kind of just model the one from RuneScape, if I'm being honest with you. That's probably the way this is going to go, most likely. I've got a pretty good reference image here. Like, I'm going to use this as a reference image. Also, having the model from RuneScape in mind, obviously, because of course it will be. So let's get started on that. We can start with a cube again, because we always start with a fucking cube, don't we? And I'm going to put this up on the screen, which I need more monitors. I've got 2 monitors. I don't have enough place on my screens for Blender, and then on my second monitor to have both Twitch and YouTube chat open as well as a reference image. I need a 3rd monitor for my reference images, which is a real first world problem to have. Let's make it a little smaller. The handle should be probably somewhat smaller than the sword handle. We can look at scale in a moment though. Doesn't really matter for now. Let's bevel this a bit. We're almost round. Speaking of roundness, these I want to turn into a circle, pretty please. Thank you. My god, don't you just love loop tools? Loop tools are the fucking best, right? It's the best fucking plugin ever made. I remember a time before I realized loop tools was a thing, and it was a very sad time in my life. Okay, that does not work as well as I thought it would. Maybe it kind of messes up some parts of your edge flow though, which is less than ideal, but it's a nitpick, to be honest. Right, did that fuck? I feel like that, yeah, something went wrong with the normals there. But we can probably... what we can do... And this is very manual work at this point, but we can probably merge these. No, that still creates an angle. Oh, that's the issue. Hold on. That should be fixable by hand somewhat. I don't even know what happened there, to be honest with you. But maybe if I just do this... Well, that's hardly ideal. That's probably not... Yeah, I don't really think I'll like that. So what we'll do instead is we'll just make this very small. The thing that I'm trying to make, by the way, is like this bit over here. I'm going to make it simplified. I'm not going to give it like a fancy shape. It's just going to be a sphere. But I wanted to actually model the sphere, but it's just easier to say, hey, we're going to add a UV sphere. I'm going to set this to like 10% size. Rotate this around just to have it orientated in a somewhat sensible way. Scale it down again. Yeah, that makes way more sense. Way more. Now, the actual cross guard is going to be... I'm also just going to look up Scimitar RuneScape to see how they deal with it, because if anybody made a low poly Scimitar, it would be RuneScape. Yeah, that's a little bit more low poly than I'm going for personally. But it'll work. It'll work as a reference. I'm just going to keep adding separate objects for this one, to be honest. Hold on. Probably want this to be a little flatter. And maybe even a little thinner as well. I think that's better. And then this little ball can probably also shrink down a little. Now, time for something that looks approximately like a crossguard. This might be the most difficult, or not difficult necessarily, nothing that we're doing here today is really difficult, but it might be the most time-consuming thing we make today. Okay. We take this, pull it along a little bit. You know what, for this one we're actually going to go mirror modifier, because otherwise this is going to take fucking forever to do properly. That's the Y, it's the Y indeed. And the entire thing needs to also like come down quite a bit. I don't really know how Not this much, actually. Like a little bit, but not that much. And they do come down to a little bit more of a... this might look a little bit better in a moment once it's got bevels. Don't panic yet. Don't you panic yet. You're allowed to be panicked in like 4 minutes if it still doesn't look good. Which there's a good chance of that. I'll be very real with you. But now if we like bevel this a little bit, you see that does make quite a difference. I don't know that we have enough space here to properly be able to bevel this bit. But that does make a decent difference. Now, this cross guard, I think the handle is just too long. So if we make the handle a little shorter, that's looking a little bit more like it. And then the blade itself can just be a cube as well. That is very, very thin. And then we'll deform that as we need. But for right now, we're going to just start this as being like a sword. And then however we're going to curve this, I will figure out as we go along. First thing is, which side is it going to curve into? It's probably going to curve like that. So we add in a good number of loop cuts. We actually need the entire thing to be even thinner. Not too much, because one of the sides does actually need to eventually have an edge. Proportional editing, and then what we do is we kinda turn this all the way until it's like that. Maybe we move it first, actually. Like, let's move it first. And then rotate it. Just do this one step at a time, bit by bit. No. No, I don't think that this is working too well. Maybe what I need to do is I need to lessen the influence radius a little bit as I do this. Well, at this point I'm just kind of dragging these things along somewhat randomly, so that's definitely, oh my god, look at the shape of this thing. That's horrendous. Let's control that a little bit back. So that's not a great way of doing it, clearly. Yeah, no, that's probably not great. That was a bit of a fail, wasn't it? Let's try again. The very first thing we do is we're just going to move over like that much, and then slowly add a little bit of rotation. This is manageable. This is, well, not manageable. This is salvageable, is what I should say. I'm just going to like scale these up manually, which is always a scary thing to do. But also might be the way we end up with something that's halfway decent. You see, this is actually kind of working. It's a very bad workflow. But it's a very bad workflow that seems to be working out for me, so I'm not gonna complain too much. Rotate a little bit. Like, this is not the way you should really ever be modeling anything. It's a very bad idea. But if you can get it to work, you can get it to work. And oh, I didn't select the entire. There we go. As I was saying, you probably shouldn't do it this way. Do as I say, not as I do, yada yada yada. Like, just going in and moving around individual vertices to create a shape is almost never a good idea. At least not for me. Because it's quite difficult to make things into like smooth and proper looking shapes. Doing it like one vertex at a time by hand. But this works. This works out quite well. Which side of the scimitar is the sharp side? It's the outer edge. Okay. I kind of figured. I just needed to double check. So we create the edge line. Then we select the edge and just move it down. And we'll merge. Still quite a thick piece of steel on the other side, but it'll do. It'll do for now. So let's just merge all this. Oh my god, I needed to apply the modifier there. Let's merge all this together. There we go. And start unpacking. We can always move around some vertices a little bit later. If I look back at this thinking, actually, this sucks. Worst case scenario, we just restart, right? I would really prefer not to, but we could. Very much could. All that said, is this a full loop? Is that a full loop? That seems like a full loop. We can mark that as a seam. Do we need any seams anywhere else? No, that's one object. That's going to be one color. Otherwise, yeah, I think that's about it. So we unwrap, we assign material, and then we get started with our fun. So this is going to be a golden color, I think. Then for, don't do that. Then for this we probably go for a black color to fit in with the other handles that we have. This is going to join up there in the golden color. And then the rest of the thing is going to be the blade itself, which will be a... There's some leftover geometry there, and I'm not entirely sure what it is, and that worries me. Actually, a deeper blue. Literally just a rune scimitar at this point. Okay, never mind. Less saturated. A little bit blue. Kind of good, but not too much. Okay, so what geometry even is this? Oh, it's that bit. Okay. That needs to go in with the gold bits as well. We can call it a day on this one for now. It does need to be a little bit bigger to match with the sword. More or less. Okay, that probably was the most difficult thing that we still had on the to-do list for today. Because right now we have a battle axe and a battle hammer, or a war hammer. Both of which probably not going to be too difficult. And then we'll finally have everything for the pack done, I think. Unless I come up with any more new ideas to add. Which is always possible, don't get me wrong. But at that point we'll be at 35 objects. Of course the bow and the crossbow have arrows with them. So that's a total of 33 weapons. I've got 3 different shurikens because I've got 2 different chakrams. So we don't quite make it to 30 if we do that, theoretically. And you could also say that the wand and the book belong together. I would argue you could use those individually. Oh, we also have got this fucking thing. Never mind. We can still make it technically to 30. Because we're also making one of these. It's actually pretty easy shape. Let's start with that one, because it's the easiest. You know what? Nobody ever watched on Twitch anyway. I mean, there's somebody who followed on Twitch. Thanks for that. But I'm going to now obscure the Twitch chat because who cares? Let's get started with a cylinder. Slightly more vertices. 16 should be good. And we can use this as a decent starting point. I mean, technically I have a knife and a dagger and a sword, which, yes, the dagger is just a little version of the sword, and the dagger, I actually did model the dagger from scratch. Or the knife. The dagger I didn't. The dagger I just copied the sword and changed some proportions. It's a pretty small weapon, right? So let's extrude. Also, let's make this not see-through anymore, because it's really annoying when it does that. Make this slightly bigger. Extrude. And make this slightly smaller, just to have that little protrusion at the end. I would like this to all be like one object, to be honest, if at all possible. It's gonna be a little tricky to get that done, but we're gonna try. We're also gonna have to be a little bit creative with how we do that. Because I'm not entirely sure, like, if I can just pull this out and bring it to a point. Well, maybe not quite that sharp of a point. But I can just bring this to a point, and hell, even with the reference images I have, it doesn't even seem to come to really that sharp of a point. So I can probably even like bevel this a little bit and then maybe scale it down ever so slightly more. And that kind of does the trick for the middle portion. The issue though comes in with the side bits. I don't know how I'm going to make those. Unless I can say take these faces, extrude them. I don't think that's enough geometry to make a circle out of, is it? Not really. But we can subdivide it one more time and take in I just want to make sure that I take in the exact middle bits. Like that's, I think, these 6 faces, right? Nope. It's but then I need these as well, and then bounding box sensor. Okay, but that should now be enough geometry to make a halfway decent circle out of. Why does it pretend like these two things are not connected? Because they are not. Okay. Now they... What the fuck? Let's be careful with what we do here. No. Oh, it's just merging things too close together. So now if I just merge by distance, everything should be fine. And I can try to make this into a circle again, and I will make it into one circle. There we go. Getting somewhere. Looking at this from the top, we want to scale this to be... no, not rotate this. My god. Scale this to be flat. Maybe make it a little bit smaller as well. Move it down. And I think we're going to use the spin tool for this. That seems to be the easiest way to get this done. And for now it's just gonna be a simple 90 degrees. That's all we need. Okay. If we slide this back a little bit and we bevel this, does that make... It's actually not too bad. Except for what the hell... whatever the hell that was. Like, what's going on here? Oh, it didn't take that geometry with it. But still, we can... There we go. And then if we bevel this, we still... Something's going wrong. I don't know why it's not taking this as a loop. It really should. But it doesn't. What about this makes it not loop properly? Something is fucky with this. Again, let's just try to merge by distance everything. If we increase this ever so slightly, we suddenly start fucking things up very badly. Then we'll do it like this. We'll just select all these and only merge on these ones. And try to say, hey... Yeah, no, there's no, like, double vertice bullshit going on. That's not the issue, clearly. It's kind of weird. I also don't know that this is really helping things much. So let's not do that then. Let's instead try to... but beveling this is probably not going to help much either. We might as well try. I don't think this is going to... It's a little better. If we shade this smooth. I think we're just going to accept this as being good, to be honest. So let's extrude out this stuff over here, and we'll mirror this in a moment. Excited to be watching this live. Welcome. Happy you're having a good time, more so than me, because Blender is being a bitch. Move that over there. Move that over. Hold on, we are... something like this kind of angle. Maybe a little more even. Something like that. Yeah, that seems good. And then if we scale this... Oh, no, no, no. Influence radius needs to be much lower. Something like that. Definitely not. And bevel, this beveling is going to go, yeah, wrong. I knew it would. I fucking knew it would. Is this beveling going to go any better? No. No, it's not. Okay, then we're not going to bevel this unless... maybe we can delete this face and just regen a new face and bevel this? That actually kind of works, and then we can, with proportional editing this time, add a little bit of beveling there, and then this one is going to then shrink down significantly as well. You know, that could be a hell of a lot worse. The proportions are fucked. But that's something that we can relatively easily remedy by just selecting all this and moving it down a little. And then let's mirror this. That's not the right axis to mirror this in. I need to mirror this in the X. I need to mirror this in the negative X. Eventually we'll get there. There we go. And if I now try to auto shade smooth, there's something horribly wrong here with these. Yeah, no, that actually makes sense why that's freaking out. Any double vertice going on, or do I just need to? I just need to clean up the geo a little. That's a fair bit better. Triangle there. Quad there. That should... while we're at it, we might as well do it here as well. Well read. We might as well actually mirror this thing in the Z. Doesn't matter. Already kind of fixed it now. Nope. That's not what I wanted to do. That was probably the most opposite of what I wanted to do, if I'm being honest with you. There's not exactly the smoothest transition, but if we go into the material itself, we can probably do something with that. That's probably good. So let's apply the modifier. Let's just say that this thing is done now, because again, I don't want to linger on these kind of things too long. And then, ooh, this is gonna be a tricky one. Actually, it doesn't have to be. We can just do that. Probably should have done that before applying the modifier. Because this still doesn't create... No, this does create n-gons, technically speaking. Do I care, though, is the question. I don't think it really matters in this case. Like, it's hardly ideal, don't get me wrong. Prefer not to. It's a lot of vertices that I just deleted. Okay, that looks a lot better. Never mind. N-gons or not, that's an improvement. Now, let's take this loop over here a little bit and do that with it. That makes a better looking shape. This also allows me for slightly cleaner lines for the material. Oh, forgot to do the same thing here. So we need to merge again. Yeah, that'll do. Mark seam, and then we can just mark seam there as well. And unwrap. Everything else is just going to be like metal anyway. UV editing. Give it the material. This bit's going to be black. So we make that black. Simple and easy like that. And then these two bits are going to be scale 0. Some kind of bluish metal color. Look, it's not the cleanest line I've ever made in a material. I'll be honest about that. But it works, so that's good. Being real though, is I can tell that my eyes are getting very tired from looking at the screen all day. Like my vision is getting slowly more and more blurry as we go along here, so I don't know if I really want to be doing those last two models right now. How long have I been live for to begin with? We've been at this for about an hour and a half. So instead of doing some more modeling, I won't leave right away. But let's make a metallic texture, or a metallic material as well, and apply that to all of the bits that need to be metallic. I think that will be a better way of doing this. So let's name these things as well. This is the say, and then this is the scimitar. Add those into the fantasy. Like, I've got quite a lot of models here at this point, to be honest with you. Okay, so let's copy over that material. We already have a second material, I think. We can name the materials. Let's name this base color. And then the other one will be... I'll just go into the scimitar, actually. And give that a second material on it. Like 2 material slots. You can just say, hey, these ones... add the second material slot, and that will be the material 1. And this will call metal color. Not metal cooler. That's a Dragon Ball character. Metal color. Slightly different. And all that we're going to do here is... You see my vision is kind of fucking up, so I couldn't find the shading tab. Just put up the metallic to full. And that way we should... I don't think it really shows, but in here... If we add in a light source, we should start seeing a difference. Where the fuck did it even put the light source? Oh, there. Does that? That still doesn't look metallic, I'm gonna be real with you. What if I were to show this in cycles? I didn't assign. That's the issue. I didn't assign. That's why it's not showing anything. Doesn't even need to be in cycles. What I need to do is I need to assign. And now it's metallic. There we go. Okay, so even without this in... Does it show a difference in here? I wonder though. It's a very slight difference. But it shows a difference, so... It's good. Everything that needs to have metal to it, we're going to give a metal material now. And that's going to be a few of these things. It's going to be a good few of these. Oh yeah, for that one you can definitely tell, like, now this is metallic, right? Specifically for the more rounded objects. Yeah, that works. Can I just select everything? And I can. I don't know that this is gonna work actually, never mind. We can give it a shot. Nah, that's not gonna work. Because it's just looking at the knife now. Yeah, no, never mind. It's not gonna work that way. It's a little tedious to do it this way. At this point, I am starting to consider maybe I should just make a auto hotkey macro to do this with. But, you know... I don't think I really care about that enough to start doing that. So we're just like kind of not gonna do that. Making the metallic does make specifically like the shurikens look a lot better now. Now I do have to decide what parts of like this boomerang might be metallic and which ones aren't. I don't think I want any metallicness on the boomerang, to be honest. But for this, the handle and the bar definitely should be metallic. So it's technically not going to be all one material anymore. Maybe in Unreal I will make the parent of this one material. It's probably going to be... Good question, what am I going to do with this? It's probably going to have one material Can you make a material instance of an instance? Yeah, I'll probably make one master material with the metallicness as a parameter and then just make a material instance of that with that up to the max. And then if somebody wants to make a like halfway halfway metallic thing, they can just make a second material instance that way. I think that makes the most sense doing it like that. And then I might as well also expose the roughness if we're going to do that anyway. Did I just make the entire arrow metallic? Because I definitely should not be doing that. I should be adding a second slot and making only the arrowhead metallic. Yeah. Okay, you know what? Actually, I'm going to cut the stream a little short. I did say that I was probably going to end up streaming not as long tonight. I would have liked to stream for like another half an hour at least, maybe a little bit more. But my vision is just telling me that, hey, you need to go look at something that's not a screen, because I'm just going to go blurry on you. And well, what it's telling me is really what you need is glasses. And to that I say, with what insurance? So I'll be back later this week, at which point I'll probably have finished this pack. So I don't know what we'll be doing on Friday. Maybe a little bit of level design again in Unreal. It's been a while since we actually like worked on the game on stream. So I'll probably be doing a little bit of that, like blocking out the boss arena or something. We're getting quite a bit of progress in dungeon number 2, so I need to start like playtesting that thing as well, which might be fun to do on stream. But for now, I'm going to look at something like more than, I don't know, what's the rule? Like 20 feet away to make your eyes like strain less, and probably have an early night and then get back to work tomorrow on this. But probably not on stream because tomorrow is a video day. And I'll be back streaming some more on Friday. Thanks for everybody for stopping by for this like hour and a half very sudden stream, which wasn't planned at all, and I'll be back later.